Today, I want to take just a few minutes to walk you through something really important that every buyer and seller in Pennsylvania needs to know about. It's called the consumer notice. Again, don't let the name intimidate you. We're going to break this down for you so that you'll be able to explain it pretty quickly and efficiently. So, what is the consumer notice? In the state of Pennsylvania, real estate agents are required by law to present you with this document at the very first meeting where you start talking about a specific property or about some real estate needs. Think of it as Pennsylvania's way of making sure that the consumer is fully informed about who the agent is working for and what their options are. It is all about transparency, accountability, and protecting the consumer. So, what does the consumer notice cover? It outlines the different types of agency relationships that are available to the consumer in Pennsylvania. So let's quickly break those down. First, there is seller agency. This is where the agent represents the seller and is focusing on getting the best outcome for them. Next is buyer agency. This is where the agent works exclusively for the buyer. The job here is to protect the best interest of the buyer every step of the way. Then there is dual agency. This is when one agent or broker represents both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. This is legal in Pennsylvania, but it has to be fully disclosed and everybody has to agree upon this form of agency relationship. There is also a transaction licensee. This is when an agent assists both parties in a transaction without representing either side. They're essentially a neutral facilitator. And finally, this one's really important. This is designated agency. So let's take a moment to explain this one because it comes up a lot. What is designated agency? This is a unique option that's available in Pennsylvania that offers a really smart solution when a single brokerage is working with both a buyer and a seller in the same transaction. And as you can see, based on this flow chart, if you are ever confused as to whether or not you are acting as a dual agent or a designated agent, just simply refer to this chart and you'll be able to determine what type of agency you represent. Now, in order to understand how it works, let's go ahead and go over that. So here's how it works. Instead of one agent representing both parties, the broker designates two separate agents within the same brokerage. One agent is designated exclusively to represent the buyer, and the other is designated exclusively to represent the seller. This means both parties still have their own dedicated advocate looking out for their best interests, even though they are both under the same brokerage roof. Now, this is a great option because it allows the client to get the full benefit of having an agent who is 100% focused on their goals while still keeping the transaction moving smoothly. It's truly the best of both worlds, and Pennsylvania designed this specifically to give the consumer stronger protection in those situations. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what's really important, the responsibilities that are owed to the public. So whether or not a consumer enters into a client agent relationship, these duties are still owed to the general public. They are honesty and transparency. Every agent is required to be honest and cannot engage in any misleading or deceptive practices with anyone involved in a transaction. Disclosure of all material facts. Agents must disclose any known material defects or important facts about a property that could affect the decision making. This applies to everyone, not just their clients. Accounting of funds. Any money that is entrusted to an agent must be handled responsibly and accounted for properly at all times. Reasonable care and skill. Every licensee is expected to perform the duties with a reasonable level of professional skill and competence. So these are just the baseline standards. This protects every single person who interacts with a real estate professional in Pennsylvania, and they are non-negotiable. Now, when it comes to the client relationship, meaning the person the agent is officially representing, the responsibilities go even deeper. This is called a fiduciary. Loyalty. Your agent must always put the best interest first above their own and above anyone else involved in the transaction. Confidentiality. Any personal information that's shared with the agent, including a budget, the motivation for buying or selling, a timeline, this must be kept strictly confidential and cannot be shared with the other party. Full disclosure. The agent is required to share all relevant information with the client that could impact their decisions, even if it's information that the client didn't think to ask about. Obedience. The agent must follow lawful instructions throughout the transaction. It's the client's journey and it's the agent's responsibility to get there and to carry out those wishes. Responsible care and diligence. The agent must work diligently on behalf of the client, from researching properties, negotiating offers, to guiding the client through every step of the closing process. Accounting. Any deposits, funds, or documents entrusted to the agent must be handled with complete care and accountability. These duties exist to make sure that as a client that they're never left in the dark and also never taken advantage of. So what does this accomplish? After reviewing the consumer notice, the consumer is confident that the real estate agent will fully disclose all pertinent information. Of course, the client does have the right to choose the different types of representation that works best for them. So that's it. That's the end of the consumer notice, all done before a 10-minute segment. So go ahead and rewind this, listen to this, and you'll be able to explain the consumer notice seamlessly and without any effort.